Here's everything that happened in America in the last 12 hours. President Trump fired Attorney General Pam Bondi Thursday, replacing her with Deputy AG Todd Blanche after growing frustration over her handling of the Epstein files and political prosecutions. Defense Secretary Hegseth fired Army Chief of Staff General Randy George alongside two other generals, David Hodden and William Green Jr., in a sweeping purge during the Iran war. The White House is actively discussing further departures, with FBI Director Kash Patel, Army Secretary Daniel Driscoll, and Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Remer all reportedly under consideration for removal. A judge tossed Blake Lively's sexual harassment claims against director Justin Baldoni, throwing out 10 of 13 counts while allowing retaliation claims to proceed to a May trial. Trump's White House ballroom project cleared a planning board but still faces active legal challenges that could prevent construction from moving forward. A prominent election denier championed by President Trump will have her prison sentence reconsidered following a new legal development in her case. U.S. mortgage rates climbed for the fifth straight week, hitting 6.46% as the Iran war continues weighing heavily on the American housing market. The House left for Easter recess without acting on the Senate's bill to fund Homeland Security, meaning the record-breaking government shutdown will continue through at least Monday. Trump is preparing a 2027 budget proposing to boost defense spending to $1.5 trillion while cutting healthcare, education, and other domestic agencies to help fund the cost of war.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
Stocks plunging.
Down, down, down. The Nasdaq's getting crushed. Small caps are getting crushed.
April 2nd, 2025, the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
U.S. consumers and businesses, not foreign companies, are footing the bill.
President Trump's new tariffs cost the average U.S. household $1,000 last year.
It is ugly out there, worse than worst case scenario.
Stocks are getting slashed and burned. $2.5 trillion vaporized.
$2.5 trillion vaporized.
It's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right.
Has Trump pushed for tariffs been successful in the minds of the American people?
Now, tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary of Donald Trump standing in the Rose Garden declaring Liberation Day. Liberation from what? Certainly not high prices. Donald Trump promised he would make foreign governments pay for these tariffs. The reality? 96% of them were paid by Americans. Donald Trump promised that American jobs would be roaring back to the country's shores. In reality, we've lost 200,000, with tens of thousands being in manufacturing. As a result, our economy has come to a crawl. And here's the kicker, it wasn't just bad policy, it was illegal, as determined by the Supreme Court. But now, the damage is already done. The average American family spent $1,750 more last year as a result of Donald Trump's tariffs, from clothing, to food, to building materials. Because of Donald Trump, small businesses got crushed, farmers went bankrupt, and factories didn't come back, they closed. 7 in 10 Americans say that Donald Trump's tariffs cost them money. This was not liberation, this was economic sabotage, and a giant wealth transfer to the billionaires, including Donald Trump.
Today is 1 year since Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day, when he implemented illegal and wide-scale tariffs on countries around the world, imposing a nationwide tax on employers and consumers alike, raising the cost of everything from phones to food. Oh, and coffee? That went up almost 20%. And now, because of Donald Trump's reckless and illegal war in Iran, the cost of everything from gas to fertilizer is going up. Eventually, everything will cost more because of this war of choice. A year in, are you feeling liberated?
1 year ago tomorrow, Donald Trump declared Liberation Day. He declared that he was liberating American businesses and families from unfair trade practices and that he would bring manufacturing and jobs back to the U.S. and he would bring prices down. Well, here's the truth. 7 in 10 of Americans say that tariffs have cost them money. And the data proves that this has cost everybody more money, with the average family of 4 spending $1,750 extra dollars just on Donald Trump's tariffs last year. And in 2026, even though the tariffs have been ruled unconstitutional, businesses haven't dropped the prices, and families are expected to spend $2,500 extra because of tariffs. making it the largest single tax hike for a family of 4 since 1993. The Liberation Day also did not create additional jobs. In fact, 200,000 blue-collar jobs have been lost since Liberation Day. Farm bankruptcies are up 46%, a almost 6-year high. Factory construction has dropped by 11% to an all-time low. Factory jobs have dropped to an all-time low level. 70% of small businesses say the tariffs have hurt them and they are considering downsizing their business or closing the door altogether. And 65% of manufacturers say the tariffs are going to result in additional layoffs. Liberation Day broke the U.S. economy. That was already struggling. The only people that benefited by Donald Trump's tariffs are the same people that he always cares about. You have to have at least 9 digits in your net worth and 2 commas. Otherwise, this didn't benefit you at all. So the only thing that Liberation Day actually did for Americans was liberating us from our money and giving it to billionaires. I was getting ready to post this video when I realized that I forgot to mention Donald Trump has enriched his net worth by $1.6 billion since Liberation Day.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. It's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right.
Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day was 1 year ago today when he announced sweeping tariffs that American taxpayers and businesses would bear the brunt of. He promised his tariffs would make Americans rich and that they'd bring factories and manufacturing jobs roaring back. Instead, as Politico explains, manufacturing payrolls actually declined slightly over the past year, with 98,000 fewer jobs year over year based on the most recent data from the Labor Department. There are 29,900 fewer auto manufacturing jobs and 18,000 fewer wood manufacturing jobs. New, higher tariffs on steel and aluminum, moreover, have hindered the construction of factories. The industry's hiring rate is lower now than it was at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Did Liberation Day bring manufacturing back to America? Remember when Donald Trump promised that
jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country?
1 year on, how loud is that roar? On the jobs front, it's more of a whimper. Manufacturers have shed around 100,000 jobs since President Trump took office, even as the rest of the economy has gained 300,000 jobs. There's some evidence to suggest that manufacturers spent most of 2025 in recession, and many of America's industrial successes are in places that tariffs haven't really touched, like the data center build-out or the boom in liquefied natural gas. Liberation Day was supposed to bring a great manufacturing boom. So far, it has instead brought volatility, friction, and a mountain of new paperwork for businesses. After last April, measures of economic uncertainty hit record highs, beating even the early months of the pandemic. But during COVID, that uncertainty quickly receded. This time, it stayed high. Instability can make planning for the future practically impossible. Businesses could try and move their supply chains to America, as Donald Trump wants, but new factories could take years to set up. And in many cases, building these factories only makes financial sense if the current tariffs stay in place. Should a future administration pare back the tariffs, these projects could easily turn into money sinks, and businesses know it. Another problem is tariff exemptions. The administration's preferred approach seems to be offering these to the loudest and best connected industries. But exemptions just undermine the logic for tariffs. If some sectors are getting relief, others could too. So why bother even trying to bring your supply chain to America? In February 2026, the Supreme Court struck down some of Trump's tariffs. This has generated even more confusion, not least over who's entitled to a refund. In theory, refunds go to the companies that formerly paid the tariffs, but smaller companies and consumers who didn't generally import goods directly but often had higher prices passed straight on to them would not be reimbursed, which hardly seems fair. Donald Trump's administration will look to use a patchwork of country and sector-specific tariffs to fill the gaps left by the Supreme Court ruling. The process will be messy and unpredictable, taking many months, even years. The longer this volatility persists, the more unlikely it is that tariffs will bring about the manufacturing renaissance that the president wants.
It has been 1 year since Liberation Day and Trump released all of these gigantic tariffs against countries, which since then have come down quite a bit, but how has this impacted things? Well, first of all, manufacturing jobs were supposed to increase, but manufacturing hiring between this year and the year prior decreased by 85,000 jobs. But what about prices? Because we have things that went up in price and also down in price, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and other government reporting. So things that went up. Food overall went up 3.1% over this year, with home food, so groceries going up 2.4%, food at restaurants going up 3.9%. Beef is up 14.4%, coffee and juice is up 5.6%, natural gas is up 10.9%, electricity is up 4.8%, shelter is up 4.2%, and medical care is up 4.1% in cost. Now, do be aware, the cost rising and going down in things are impacted more than just by tariffs. Beef's a great example. Beef's cost increase of 14.4% is more driven by drought in the United States and the concentration of the beef industry into just a handful of large corporate entities, right? So a lot more here, but this is the impact we've seen for prices going up in the past year. But what about going down? Because a few things have gone down. Eggs have gone down 42.1%, thank God. Gas is also technically down 5.6%. However, that data was pulled yesterday, and as of right now, the price of crude oil is up 14% on the day after somebody's address to the nation and their comments with Iran. So that's probably changed. Used vehicles also went down in price by 3%, as well as apparel prices have gone down by 0.5%. But it does look like that the deficit, our trade deficit, has also largely been unimpacted or not improved by this either. However, I'll do a video fully reporting on that once we get the data up to April, because right now we just got the data from January. We're a little delayed on getting the trade deficit data simply because of all of the government shutdowns, so I'll update you on that in a few months.
$1.4 billion. This is all in his first year. This is an astonishing level, unprecedented level of corruption. 23 million in licensing deals for overseas real estate projects, a new hotel in Oman, a new golf course in Saudi Arabia, just to name a couple. $28 million from Amazon for a documentary about Melania Trump. 90 million from various other technology and entertainment companies like X and Paramount in the form of legal settlements. When Trump goes to battle with these corporations, it is leverage and conflict of interest at its worst. Then, of course, there's the $400 million jet from the government of Qatar, which Trump has said he plans to take with him when he leaves office. And then more than $850 million from his crypto coin schemes. People who hope to influence federal policy, including foreigners, can buy his family coins now, effectively transferring money to the Trumps. And the deals are often in secret. And this is just the first year of his second term. He still has 3 more years to go to rack up even more grift off of the American taxpayer. 1 year ago, Donald Trump swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States and to serve the American people. Donald Trump doesn't care about the Constitution. Clearly, Donald Trump is selling you out while he lines his own pockets. Trump has pocketed at least $1.4 billion. This is all in his first year. This is an astonishing level, unprecedented level of corruption. 23 million in licensing deals for overseas real estate projects, a new hotel in Oman, a new golf course in Saudi Arabia, just to name a couple. $28 million from Amazon for a documentary about Melania Trump. 90 million from various other technology and entertainment companies like X and Paramount in the form of legal settlements. When Trump goes to battle with these corporations, it is leverage and conflict of interest at its worst. Then, of course, there's the $400 million jet from the government of Qatar, which Trump has said he plans to take with him when he leaves office. And then more than $850 million from his crypto coin schemes. People who hope to influence federal policy, including foreigners, can buy his family coins now, effectively transferring money to the Trumps, and the deals are often in secret. And this is just the first year of his second term. He still has 3 more years to go to rack up even more grift off of the American taxpayer. 1 year ago, Donald Trump swore an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, to serve the American people. Donald Trump doesn't care about the Constitution. Clearly, Donald Trump is selling you out while he lines his own pockets.
President Trump just addressed the nation. He stated that the Iran war will last only another 2 to 3 weeks. He said Iran's navy's gone and their air force is in ruins. And he gave an ultimatum. The U.S. will strike Iranian power plants if no deal is reached. He literally said the U.S. will bring Iran back to Stone Age. Trump declared the U.S. will not import oil from the Strait of Hormuz in the future. Period. For 15 years, the U.S. Navy guaranteed the world's oil flow through that strait. Trump just ended that era. U.S. oil prices are surging above $105 a barrel tonight because the market just realized the global supply chain is fracturing for good. We are now pivoting 100% to Venezuela, Canada, and our own domestic light crude. The April 15 wall is 15 days away. That is the moment the last tankers from the Middle East finally run dry on our shores. The East is at a breaking point. And especially now, out of nowhere, Ukrainian drones are hitting Russia's infrastructure. Today, Russia is officially banning all gasoline exports for the next 4 months, as the U.S. is pulling up the ladder.
Hey everybody. Donald Trump did something today that I think really captures the essence of who he is. He went to the Supreme Court in person to watch the argument in the birthright citizenship case, and in doing so, he became the first sitting president to attend a Supreme Court argument. But then he left after his side of the case was argued without staying for the rest. Trump stayed only for the first half of the argument, which was presented by John Sauer, the Solicitor General that Trump himself appointed on behalf of the United States. After Sauer was done speaking, Trump actually got up and left before the other side made their argument. After Trump left, a lawyer for the ACLU very competently made the case that birthright citizenship is in fact a long-standing constitutional right that the president cannot just erase with an executive order. But that's not what Trump wanted to hear, so he didn't. This says a lot about who Trump is. He's a person who only hears what he wants to hear. He's not interested in looking at both sides of an issue. He won't listen to anyone who disagrees with him. He does not care what's true or what's right or what's legal. You might ask why Trump even bothered to go to the Supreme Court. It certainly was not because he's a legal scholar. 2 reasons. 1, it's a distraction from the failed war in Iran, from the cost of gas, from the Epstein files. 2, it's a power play. He's reminding the justices that he appointed that he's watching them and he expects them to rule in his favor. Remember, Trump suffered an embarrassing loss in the tariffs case when 2 justices that he appointed ruled against him and voted to strike down his beloved tariffs. The reasons Trump went to the court are actually exactly the same reasons that past presidents have not attended Supreme Court arguments in person. Past presidents have respected the separation of powers. They did not want to be seen as trying to influence the court. And also, they have other things to do. Here's the good news. All the reports I'm hearing from the argument today suggest that most of the justices were not swayed by John Sauer's arguments or by Donald Trump's presence in the courtroom. So this could be another embarrassing loss for Trump and another step toward reining in his out-of-control executive power. I'll keep you posted.
More and more Trump supporters are coming out and saying that if Donald Trump ends up getting impeached, convicted, removed from office, or is eventually sent to prison, that they're going to leave the United States of America. How do you feel about that?
Did Donald Trump just say the UK doesn't have any courage?
The countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. They must grab it and cherish it. They can do it easily. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on. So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refused to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number 1, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number 2, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the strait and just take it.
I get it. You've made a massive mess of this war, and now you've made the mess. You just don't want to clean it. Makes total sense. Totally fair. What an idiot. It's totally fine to say we should buy oil from the US. I'm not saying we shouldn't. If it's at a lower price, why not? But to say we don't have courage, a country that sent thousands of troops to your wars in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Syria, and many of these troops died fighting for you and your country in response to 9/11. So don't say we have no courage. In fact, how dare you say the UK has no courage? Is Trump right? Let me know what you think in the comments.
The Trump administration is in pure chaos tonight as Donald Trump is looking to fire people and the cabinet is throwing each other under the bus, leaking to the press. Now, if you missed it today somehow, Donald Trump fired Pam Bondi, and he fired her because she wasn't doing her job, specifically going after his political enemies, as they've all walked away scot-free. Well, it appears that Donald Trump is not done, as he may also be firing Tulsi Gabbard next, as he's unhappy with how she's performing. And this is what Donald Trump does when things start to go south. So how is the cabinet reacting? Suddenly, there are stories being leaked to the press. We've learned that Pete Hegseth is the one that pushed Donald Trump to go to war and told him that Iran's response would be minimal at best. Now we're hearing that Susie Wiles is upset that the Pentagon isn't putting out honest information about our casualties during this war. This administration right now is in chaos because this happens with Donald Trump. When things don't go well, he doesn't take responsibility. He doesn't roll up his sleeves. He just fires people and plays the blame game. Buckle up.
Well, that didn't take long. It's been just hours since Trump fired Pam Bondi and appointed his former personal lawyer Todd Blanche as the new head of the DOJ. And Blanche has already announced that, 1, it is legal for Trump to take sensitive documents with him after he leaves office, and 2, that he will no longer be releasing any more Epstein files. And what a great way to start his new position as the head of the DOJ, by directly declaring that he's going to break the law. So let's take a look at these two statements. The first, about Trump taking sensitive documents, is an obvious callback to the case the federal government brought against Trump in 2023, where he was accused of deliberately keeping classified documents in unsecure locations at Mar-a-Lago after he left the presidency and after he was asked to return them by the federal government. This case was prosecuted by Jack Smith, who Trump has tried to bring charges against several times, and was dragged out by the Justice Department until it ended up being dismissed when Trump won the 2024 election. Notably, Todd Blanche was Trump's attorney for this case, so presumably his recent announcement is a further attempt to shield Trump from his past actions by trying to make them retroactively legal. I'm not sure why he felt the need to do this as one of his first actions as the Attorney General, or felt the need to bring this case back into the public limelight, but here we are. As for his second announcement about no longer releasing any more Epstein files, I think we all expected that, and I don't think that's going to work out for him as well as he hopes it does. Neither the left nor the right has given up in their demands for the release of the files, and one of the main comments that I saw in right-wing forums after Bondi was fired was that, 1, they were glad that she was gone, and that maybe now they will get the files. Congress has not forgotten about the files either, and several Congress members have already come out and said that Bondi's firing will not protect her from the subpoena that was placed against her by Congress to testify about the Epstein files. And I think we can presume that the DOJ's change in leadership will not protect Blanche either. The people are out for blood, and if Blanche couldn't successfully cover up for Trump while he was the second in command in the DOJ, he's not going to be able to do it this late in the game as the first in command. Release the files.
Breaking news, and this is big. A federal judge just hit Donald Trump with a major loss. And people are not understanding just how serious this is. Trump has been claiming for years that everything he did around January 6th was protected, all because he was the president. Well, that argument just got ripped apart in court. The court said his actions could be seen as campaign activity, not official presidential duties. And if it's not official, he doesn't get immunity. This means he can be sued personally. We're talking about real consequences, real damages, and real accountability tied to January 6th. And it gets worse for him. The judge also rejected his First Amendment defense. So he can't just hide behind free speech either. And a last-second legal move that could have protected him got shut down. Gone. So let's be clear about what just happened. A federal court just said you don't get to act like a candidate, stir everything up, and then hide behind the presidency when it all goes wrong. My friends, this isn't over, it's just getting started. Share your thoughts in the comment section and follow me for more.
Okay, so the Supreme Court heard the oral arguments for birthright citizenship. We heard a lot of legal jargon. It took over 2 hours, but there's still the most important fundamental question, which is, what does this mean for immigrant families? Now, what does this actually mean on the ground? What would it look like? Think about the fact that every single year, over 250,000 US-born children to immigrant parents would suddenly, overnight, become stateless. This would then raise the question, which is, where do they belong? What is their homeland? Suddenly, we're talking about people that no longer have an identity, no longer have a nation to claim as theirs, which means that this would lead to a humanitarian crisis, essentially creating these huge barriers to access basic healthcare, basic education, basic services in the same way that the Trump administration is currently trying to make it impossible, for instance, for Dreamers or DACA recipients to enter and access all of these basic services. The same thing would happen with these birthright citizenship cases. I know it feels surreal for the Supreme Court to suddenly ponder such an archaic question, which is, what does it mean to be an American? We thought that we had already settled that answer. But it's important to go there because at the end of the day, millions of Americans voted for a Republican candidate, not once, but twice, that promised to revoke birthright citizenship. This is all part of a larger movement, a larger impulse of a country that has a history of seeing other minorities, Black people, Native Americans, the children of immigrants as second-class citizens, and that is precisely why the 14th Amendment is so important. To, in a way, save us from ourselves. And that, at the end, was the essence of this incredibly important Supreme Court case.
If you could pick one word to describe the state of the economy right now, what would that one word be?
All f***ed up. All f***ed up.
That was a diehard Trump supporter here in Florida at this gas station after he filled up his tank at the price of $4.29 per gallon. Gas, just one of the expenses that's skyrocketing as the war in Iran continues with no end in sight.
It's crazy, bro. Right now I'm paying $2,600 a month for my rent. You know what I mean? And that ain't no bills included. You know what I mean? Like, this is really, 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 really hard. My wife's about to be pregnant. She's due in about next week. And it is extremely difficult.
We spent all day asking Floridians to describe the state of the economy in just one word. The reviews are in, and they're brutal. If you could pick one word to describe the state of today's economy, what would that word be?
A tragedy. Sad. Disappointing.
It's not the way it used to be. I don't know, man. It's like survival right now. Everybody on survival mood right now.
Desolate, yeah. It's bad.
Now, while some of President Trump's most ardent supporters say that they're willing to put up with these crazy high prices and are in support of this war in Iran,
we voted for him to be, like we say in Spanish, somebody with cojones, you know what I'm saying, with some balls to get in there and be daddy. Take the belt, put everything in action, because now you can see that we are respected across the world again, right?
Most of the people we spoke to say they wish President Trump was focusing on issues back here at home as they struggle to make ends meet.
I struggle every day, and now I'm taking care of my mom who's older, being denied simple things like breathing meds. So gas, what are you going to do? So I don't eat this week because I have to take mom to the doctor's tomorrow. And I'm not the only one. I know a lot of people in the same situation, homeless, no place to go, no shelters, no food, no medical.
All of this as gas prices continue to rise as the war in Iran spills into its second month.
So, my good people, thank you so much for being here. In today's video, we are going to discuss a couple of videos, and that is according to the clips that we just attached here. Number one being the President of America telling UK and other countries to go to Iran themselves, to the Strait of Hormuz themselves, and take the oil and stop depending on them to fight on behalf of them so that they can get oil. Number two, we are going to talk about the birthright citizenship, which is a point of discussion at the moment in America. And kindly let me know in the comment section. We are also going to talk about the president firing its cabinet. You know, he actually views them as incompetent, and they are not giving out the right information, and they are misadvising him. And now, instead of taking responsibility, what he has done is to jump into blame game, and he has decided to fire them. We are also going to talk about the Liberation Day. 1 year after Liberation Day, what our Americans are saying, because 1 year ago, the president of America said that that was the moment that the American economy was being liberated. The American okay, we are just going to discuss about it. So I think it will be awesome if we start with him telling the UK and the rest of the world, go to the Strait of Hormuz yourselves and take the oil. Oh my God. What do you think is the core story here? For me, I will say that the President Donald Trump basically told UK and the allies that if you want the oil, okay, we are trying to interpret that message. You know, we are going to interpret it and analyze it, because he really didn't have to come out like he doesn't need to tell you what to do. He can pass a message in many ways. And for me, I think he was telling them, if you want the oil, UK and other allies, if you want the oil, go fast and secure yourself. You know, go fast and secure the Strait of Hormuz yourself. After you have done that, then yeah, that can be, you can do anything, you know, because after you've secured it yourself, or even if you secure it forcefully, then yeah, you take the oil. Stop depending on America to secure the Strait of Hormuz on our own, and then later on you want the oil. No, that is not going to be fair at all. So of course, this particular news or this particular statement was made after this Iran and the Strait of Hormuz stories are being discussed here, because there is a crisis. Iran is not allowing anybody to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and Strait of Hormuz is where 20% of oil that is used worldwide passes through. So this statement shocked so many people around the world, not just Americans, because it actually feels like and sounds like the president was kind of encouraging conflict over resources. That is how I understood it. So, my good people, do you think that the president, Donald Trump, told these countries to go take the oil by force? What's your take on that? You know? Oh man. So guys, all these statements are made by the President of America. I can tell you that it's happening at a time where there is so much tensions around the world, and also between them and Iran. And I can honestly tell you that when it comes to oil routes like a Strait of Hormuz, they are very, very, very sensitive. So as I asked earlier, like, do you think that the president is encouraging conflict? What do you think, guys? Because on one hand, this story sounds like is encouraging countries to fight over resources, as I had said earlier. And on the other hand, it feels like, he's actually telling the allies to stop depending on America. So what's your take there? Anyway, this is where everything gets tricky, I can honestly tell you. Because we are all wondering, we are all confused. Is he promoting independence? Is he the one that is kind of thinking that he can actually lead more conflict? So guys, this is where the question becomes very, very tricky, because you'll be like, is he really promoting independence, or is this the kind of thinking whereby, this is where it gets tricky, by the way, my good people, because you're like, is he really promoting independence, or is this the kind of thinking that can actually lead to more conflict? Yeah, that's the big question. So another thing that people are wondering, like, is this a shift in American leadership? Because honestly, traditionally, America has been known to be this superpower country that protects global routes. So his message telling the allies to handle their own problems and not to leave it on the American leadership and American military is kind of concerning, because for so many years, America has positioned itself as the world's protector. But now it comes in as if the president is telling people, you are on your own, by the way. You are on your own. Fight for your own resources. Don't wait for us. And of course, is this realistic? Is it really realistic? Because anyway, most countries, 90% of the countries cannot just go and take the oil because they are risking war. They are risking to be in conflict with Iran. They are breaking also international laws because there are laws that govern almost everything in the world. They are risking destabilizing global markets, so they cannot. Anyway, my good people, no country can just walk into another region and take the oil without consequences. So that's how global crises they basically start. That's how they start. So do you think that some Americans are supporting this? Do you think so? Maybe you can let us know, because many Americans are tired of funding these wars, because at the end of the day, it's their taxes that are funding everything in America. Many Americans, they are tired of protecting other countries, and you know what they want is to be protected first, but they focus so much on protecting other countries and other people around the world. So as you can see, we have this group of Americans that are actually agreeing with this, that why should they always be the ones paying the price? Why? It's their taxes that are being deducted. Other countries, they don't deduct their citizens' taxes, but America, they do everything to do with the world. So of course, so many people around the world are really worried, because this statement by the President of America, it sounds reckless. It could increase global tension, and it could actually weaken alliances. Remember that he talked about coming out of NATO. So as you can see, so many people are looking at this and thinking about it, that this is not just a strategy, it's a very dangerous rhetoric. So my good people, we have a genuine question that we really need to ask ourselves and get to understand, and that is, should powerful countries like America fight for resources when they need them, or is that exactly what the world is trying to move away from? What do you think anyway, guys? Because from an African perspective, we have always seen what resource conflicts can do to a country. So hearing something like this, it's very differently. Anyway, my good people, thank you so much. If you watched the clip up to this point, I appreciate that at least you watched. I'll see you in the next video.